I found some pretty amazing stuff today, guys, and I just could not wait to share it with you. Anyone who's lived in an area where there is snow and wind and large fields for large portions of the year knows that when you look at that field in the summer and spring when there's no snow, it looks one way. But then when the snow and ice come and the wind starts to even everything out, you begin to see all of the little imperfections, the rises, the falls. If there's any heat sources underneath, like for example, those of you that have private septic in your yards, no, it's very easy to find where your septic is in the winter. Because of course it creates this melted footprint out there. So you can apply that here. If there's anything out here in this vast, windswept, icy plain of snow that is underneath, that is creating any kind of propagation upward, it'll stick out like a sore thumb. Now up here at the top, I have uncovered and I'm up to like 23, 24 now, of these basically hidden corners. It's where some folks have come here and they have uncovered some areas in high res, but covered up others, trying to airbrush it, and you can't see it. We're even here at high altitude 11 miles. And you have to come in very, 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 very close to see this. And these are all different individual ones. I've labeled I think I gave coordinates to 17 of them 2 or 3 videos ago. And these are just 4 more right by each other. So clearly there is something artificial out here. You'd have to ask yourself a question if these are just science stations and they're just research stations and they're just doing things you wouldn't have any suspicion of. Why are they going to this effort to cover this? Someone had mentioned that maybe these corners are actually shadows that they didn't take into account when they covered up whatever building it is, that the sun hit it a certain way and then left that shadow that they weren't planning on being there at that time. And that sounds incredibly plausible to me. I'm going to go and see if I can find who actually made that comment and give them credit. I should have done that ahead of time. I'm sorry, it just popped into my head. But there's 4 of them right in a row. So clearly we see, okay, there's evidence of hand of man. And here we see some type of an event underneath here that starts to show this ribbing, like some kind of a tunneling. It happens. We've showed this over and over and over again down here of what looks like support structure, where there is clearly something down here that's propagating heat to the surface, melting the snow refreezes as ice, and then of course differentiates itself from the snow. And this is just a small portion of it. It's much more pronounced in another area. We'll get to this entry portal thing. It's very, very tiny, and I'm still not sure about it, but it looks very, very odd. And once again, as we can see, the ribbing near it. That's what kind of put me on it here. It's very equidistantly spaced. And like I said, these things happen in windswept fields that look identical for sometimes square miles. And you see one little thing, even a rabbit pops up, and you can see it for, half a mile, quarter mile away. Now, I know some of this is natural. Wind drifts do happen. They absolutely do. But what I'm showing doesn't look like drifting at all. It looks like melt, and it looks like a tunnel. And it looks like an enormous one. And it's right at the corner, of course, where they have high-res cutoff as this tunnel widens out as it gets down here. I'll zoom in to get rid of some of that, but as you can see clearly, it's just too perfect, too equidistant. And to give you an idea of the distance here, we're talking about, this is an enormous tunnel. Let me pull up a ruler. At the widest point up here, It's saying 3¼ miles. I mean, this is a huge, huge tunnel. But this is what has been reported. It's like you hear these reports, you hear these things that say there's these enormous tunnels that go into inner Earth, and there's all sorts of stuff down there that we haven't seen. And now we look here at pictures, publicly available pictures, that you see, I just scrolled out that far and it goes away. And you wouldn't see it. And here is what looks like evidence of it. And it doesn't take me zooming out very far for it to just disappear. Now, here's something that'll absolutely blow your mind. Vast, this is right here at the coast. What looks like the edge of the actual continent here, and then out here, nothing but ice. What looks like a glacier, right? Well, as you zoom in here, on this little tiny corner, you're not going to believe this. That's green. This is eye altitude here, about 283 feet. These are deep shades of green. This is something growing. There is no way this should be possible here. At all. In this giant frozen ice plain. I know there's parts of Antarctica that aren't completely covered. Excuse me, gotta get rid of a gnat. Sorry about that. But that's just insane. That there's no way that this should be here. I'll get down here as close as I can, 250 feet. And as you can see, there are some deep, dark shades of green here. This isn't a mistake. This isn't some kind of anomaly. I guess it's anomalous in the sense that it's, out of place. But you can't see it unless you look exactly there. And, of course, I'll say this again, 2012. Now, this was just damn strange for me. Now, I know it looks like it's just a pool, but you have to ask yourself a question. What is it under the ice here that's causing the snow to melt and refreeze as ice, creating this pool to freeze over and over and over again? And you can go back through the history and this will disappear. And let's see if I can check this out. Okay, now we're at the time slider up here of December 30, 2012. And like I said, you see how there's no lines in between all the way back to 99? You change this to different angles and you will get different years, but it's hard to do. I've got to literally scroll and click simultaneously and it's just catch as catch can. But I'm going to go ahead and pop this back to 99 and see if it'll do it. This is what it looked like in 99. What is that? Exact same location, 13 years earlier. There's still some kind of a hole here and opening something. And this is what it looks like in 2012. There's just something else going on here other than nature. At least nature that we know of. And weirdly enough, and this is going to be very, very hard to see, but on the highest point, closest to it, on the top of this mountain, it is virtually imperceptible. And I don't even know from this angle I'll get it. And of course my words are in the way. I'm going to try to zoom in. I've got the phone max zoomed. I don't know if you can see what I'm circling here. But there is an artificial emplacement, dark rectangular box of some kind that looks like it's monitoring that hole. Some type of a camera system, sensor system, something. I'll zoom in. If I zoom in too far, it's going to put me into ground mode, and then it'll just all disappear. But right here, some type of a, it looks like it's got a roof that's pitched. So very strange stuff. And it's odd that this giant rib structure I was showing you. Or wait, that's not it. Hold on. There we go. That if you track this out to where it comes out, it comes out under what looks like what you would call a glacier. But think about that. Wouldn't this make a perfect entry tunnel right here? I mean, when you look at it, it seriously looks almost artificial. And if you were coming in underwater, this would be the perfect cover. And as we go over here, we see clear evidence that it continues. Two to 3 miles wide. So 12 minutes, we'll leave it there. We won't make this too long, but all sorts of stuff as far as the, I'll give you the coordinates here real quick, just in case something happens. I'm going to go ahead and pull them up so you can actually see them for yourself, so I don't write them down wrong. 75 degrees, 27 minutes, 47.01 seconds south. 158 degrees, 2 minutes, 33.5 seconds east. And that's just a generalized location. It's just next to it. Should be pretty easy to find. And as far as your green grass goes, I'll give you that one too. Green grass, latitude 76 degrees, 12 minutes, 53.00 seconds south. Longitude 162 degrees, 58 minutes, 41.85 seconds east. And that will put you pretty darn close. It's not right on top of it, but it's there. And like I said, this is January, December 2012. It may not be there in other years. That's the thing about Google Earth Pro that you can do without the web base. Green grass. A green creek. It's just insane. There's no way this should be here. There's something clearly artificial affecting this. Because this isn't someplace, this looks like it's at the front edge corner of a river of ice. So, anyway, we'll leave it there. Guys, have a great week. Like, share, subscribe. Talk to you next time.